next is there are different kinds of flesh. 1 Corinthians 15:39 says, "Not all flesh is the same flesh. There is one flesh for humans, another for animals, another for birds, and another for fish." Paul writes this in AD 55. This next picture is just showing you all the different things that talk about fish, birds, beasts, and humans. There are a difference between each flesh. And this was studied by Dr. Harry Rimmer in the 20th century. He was actually ridiculed for studying this because scientists up to the 20th century thought that the Bible was mistaken in this. They said all flesh is the same, it's just all evolved into the same thing. But Dr. Harry Rimmer decided, hey, I'm going to really study this and see what the Bible has to say and see what science can say about it. And he did find that there is a difference between fish, birds, beasts, and humans when it comes to flesh. And again, 1 Corinthians 8:55 told us that many, many years before the 20th century. The next is proof of a young Earth. Nickel content and cosmic dust on the planet. This slide has a lot of information on it. You might not be able to read it that well. But it says every 24 hours, 26 million meteorites are turned to dust because our atmosphere has the right density. This dust falls to Earth at a rate of 14 million tons a year and accumulates on the surface. This dust also has a higher nickel content than the soil of the Earth, so we can measure it. And if the Earth is billions of years old, like scientists tend to agree on, there must be at least 50 feet of this cosmic dust. However, that is not the case. So if you take into mind that 14 million tons of this dust from meteorites is falling to Earth, there should be 50 feet at least that we're having to shovel out of our ways because it's falling to the Earth. And the interesting thing about it is we can measure the nickel content and compare it to the dust from these meteorites that are falling to Earth. So it does show that the Earth is not 50 or however billion years old that scientists tend to say it is. The next thing is health concerns. Deuteronomy and Leviticus both offer procedures to keep Israelites from catching deadly diseases and airborne illnesses by instructing them to properly remove sewage and waste. That's in Deuteronomy. And wearing masks when coming in contact with a leper. This may be an interesting thing when we read about it in the Bible because we say, of course you should remove your waste. Of course you should remove sewage. Of course you should wear masks if you're within airborne illnesses. But people did not know this. In fact, people did not know this for a long, long time. If you look into the history of the United States, when we started having large cities, they were having problems with removing sewage, removing waste. That's when diseases started really coming on. And when you think about the Israelites being stranded in the desert for 40 years, you have to imagine an entire nation of people together for 40 years in one place. Without removing the sewage, without removing the waste, they would have died from disease. Because it's just, if you think about it, that is what would have happened if God had not instructed them, hey, this is what you should do to keep yourselves healthy. So health concerns is in the Bible. The next is all nations are of one blood. Acts 17:26, written in 65 AD, says, "From one man he has made every nation of men to live all over the earth and has determined their appointed times and the boundaries of where they live." This is interesting because throughout science it took forever for people to understand that all nations have the same blood. This next picture is just a map of all the nations out there. And you just look at all the nations such as Russia, the United States, Canada, Brazil, just all these nations, and we're all of the same blood. Not until a few thousand years ago, people still thought that there was a difference between nations and their blood because they look different, they talk different, but there is no difference. In fact, during World War II, this is kind of a funny story. There was a Nazi who was shot down in London, and the British soldiers took him in as a prisoner, and they took him in to their hospital to work on him and to make him better. And the interesting thing was they injected a pint of Jewish blood into him. Well, it really wasn't Jewish blood, it was just blood, because all blood are the same. But the British doctors were telling him, hey, we just put a pint of Jewish blood in you, and he was freaking out because he was a Nazi. It's just a funny story to think about, that people were just terrified that they were going to turn into a Jewish person or something. But the interesting thing is, all human blood is the same. We all come from the same blood, which also comes from the same Creator. The last one is interesting to me because I was going to study aerospace technology at the University of Illinois, but that didn't really work out for me. But Isaiah 40:31 in 700 BC says, "But those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." This next picture is a picture of an eagle. You'll notice it has 6 wings on each tip. That they curve a little bit and they're spread out. And the interesting thing about this is the way the air flows between the wings keeps it from having drag on it. The next picture just kind of shows the aerodynamics of an airplane, just how the wind kind of swirls. And the way that the eagle can have its wings curved a little bit and spread out helps them to just soar without having to flap their wings. It makes them not have to get tired. And this was given to us a long, long time ago in 700 BC. There's so many things about the Bible. There's so many scientific discoveries that we call discoveries, but they're really not. God has just shown them to us throughout the time, throughout technology. And it points to the Bible as a factual basis. I actually had an English teacher in college failing on a paper because I cited the Bible, which is, I don't really understand that, but I just had to show her that there is a correct way of citing the Bible. So if that's a problem, I cited it correctly. And if it's because you think it's not a factual reference, it is. And if you fail on a paper, whatever, but not going to hurt my feelings. So that it's just so many people in today's world say, well, the Bible's not a factual thing. The Catholic Church has corrupted the Bible. They have changed things to fit their agenda. There's just, I don't really understand the concept of that. I guess it's because I've studied into the Bible a little bit and the external evidences for that. But there are so many things, just like these prophetic messages. The Bible contains approximately 2,500 prophecies. 2,000 or more of them have already been fulfilled. And as for the remaining 500, these are most likely to come true before and within the end days described in the book of Revelation. So there are prophecies that still haven't been fulfilled, but they will be.